Good morning, Facebook. Today is Wednesday, the 29th of April, 2020. The time is 11:05 Pacific Daylight Time. I'm going to begin, as I typically do, with the figures as of today. As usual, I'm taking these figures from worldometers.info.com/coronavirus. The world has now reached 3,186,458 positive or confirmed cases of coronavirus. The world has lost 225,521 lives. The United States comprises over a third, or nearly a third, just under 1/3 of the total cases worldwide. The United States is reporting 1,048,834 positive or confirmed cases of the virus. The United States has now lost 60,495 lives. Spain, Italy, France, the United Kingdom, and Germany are the next countries in order, ranked as to the number of cases and the number of fatalities. Actually, this list is ranked just by number of cases. What could be interesting at some point would be to rearrange these countries based on a percentage of their population. The United States has 1,048,000 cases, but we have a population of 327 or so million people. So a country like Spain, whose population I believe is approximately 60,000, same thing with the United Kingdom, I think they're between 60 and 65,000. So I'm going to try to remember to make a project out of ranking these countries not by the number of total cases, but by the percentage of their population who is sick. I would be interested to see what that looks like, because I don't think I've seen that number reported in that way before. Looking at the United States, New York, of course, remains the worst hit. Looks like New York is looking at 305,086 positive or confirmed cases. 23,474 New Yorkers have passed away as a result of the disease. State of Washington, 13,842 positive or confirmed cases, and 786 Washingtonians have passed away. Just to quickly glance at other places throughout my life where I have lived. Well, I didn't live in Colorado, but I've spent a lot of time there. My parents met there and got married there. So 14,316, 736 cases. Spent some time in Texas, 27,000 positive or confirmed cases, 732. Now, again, the state of Washington has lost more people to coronavirus, and yet Texas has nearly double the number of positive or confirmed cases as our state. That's a pretty glaring discrepancy, and I think it's worth looking at. I don't have any way to study it or investigate it, of course, but it jumps out at you, doesn't it? So in the state of Nebraska, where is Nebraska? Nebraska, 3,374 cases, and 55 Nebraskans have lost their lives. So with respect to the state of Washington and our current stay-at-home order, it's going to be extended again. I think that the fact that Governor Inslee is lifting the restrictions on things like boating and fishing and other outdoor activities in public parks and public lands, and that those restrictions will be lifted as of May 5th. And May 5th is the day after this current stay-at-home proclamation was set to expire. So I've got a story here. This was published today. This was from Q13 Fox News. It says here that there is little doubt that Washington's stay home, stay healthy order will be extended in some form past the 4th of May, but questions remain about whether any of its restrictions will be loosened and when Governor Jay Inslee will make the extension official. Now, this is not just the opinion of somebody who works at Q13. The chief of staff of Jay Inslee's office made the following statement: "We hope we will be able to tell you what the date of the extension will be by the end of the week, but I'm not 100% sure we'll be able to do that." So even people working within Governor Inslee's office are indicating that it's going to happen. We are going to see an extension to this issue. We just don't know what it's going to look like or exactly when it's going to be announced. Within days of the original expiration date of this, which was supposed to be April 6th, that's when it got pushed out to May 4th. So it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. The stay-at-home, stay-healthy order is going to continue. There may be some modifications. We're already seeing some modifications to it set to take place as of the 5th of May. And as for the rest of it, it's going to continue. We don't know for how long. The Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation out of the University of Washington suggested that the state should extend current social distancing measures through the end of May. A whole nother month of this. So, we got more to look forward to of the same restrictions we've been looking at. Now, I was doing a little reading and just taking a look at things this morning, and I came across this, which I found a little bit disturbing. YouTube to ban content that contradicts the World Health Organization on COVID-19, despite the United Nations agency's catastrophic track record of misinformation. I think I've touched on the World Health Organization quite a bit since I started doing these little broadcasts of mine. The World Health Organization was complicit in spreading Japanese propaganda. The World Health Organization assisted China in its concealing the truth and the true nature of the virus. The World Health Organization, and specifically its Director General, Dr. Tedros, heaped a lot of praise on China for its so-called transparency and for its way of handling the disease at the very beginning. And it's come under such fire that, for instance, the United States has cut off funding to the World Health Organization pending a review of the way that it mishandled the situation. And yet YouTube is going to ban any video which disseminates information contrary to what the World Health Organization is recommending. Doesn't that seem disturbing to you? I'd heard people saying that if you went on YouTube and did a video like the ones that I do here on Facebook, which contained the word coronavirus or contained the word COVID-19, they've got algorithms searching for these words in the spoken content of these videos. And if your video is flagged as containing that kind of content, it will be instantly demonetized. Your channel will be demonetized, meaning that you won't be able to earn any revenue. Which is one of the reasons why I have decided not to move these videos from here on Facebook over to YouTube, where I have a substantially larger audience and where people go to YouTube to watch videos, and they don't necessarily do that here on Facebook. But now, not only is content being demonetized if it includes those certain buzzwords, but now YouTube is going to ban any content that contradicts the World Health Organization. That is censorship. That's censorship. Now, let's be clear about something. In the United States, censorship is forbidden within the Constitution if the censorship is being imposed upon you by the government. YouTube is a privately owned business or organization owned by Google. If they wish to do this, they are within their legal right to do so. It's just a scary, unsettling, disconcerting thing. We have already noticed, just within the information that I use when I do these broadcasts, we've already seen glaring inconsistencies in the way the figures are being reported. We're seeing that there is new information emerging, those seroprevalence surveys, for instance, which have proven through antibody testing that many, many more people in the United States have caught coronavirus than is being officially reported, drastically reducing the infection fatality rate. We've seen the things that we've seen with the World Health Organization. There's a lot going on that merits honest, open discussion. And yet, were you to do so on YouTube, your video and your content would be banned. So, now, when it comes to the infection fatality rate, when I calculate the infection fatality rate, I just do simple division. I go through these lists, which are released by worldometers.info, and I just do a simple division. The number of fatalities on the top, the denominator being the number of people within that demographic, within that population who have been tested positive for the disease. And I come up with these numbers, like 13.1% in Italy, for instance. And again, that figure is subject to extreme fluctuation simply by virtue of the fact that many people have caught the disease and recovered from it, which is what these antibody tests are showing. But there's a study that I found, an empirical estimate of the infection fatality rate of COVID-19 from the first Italian outbreak. I'd like to share a little bit of this with you. The coronavirus pandemic has been spreading globally for months, yet the infection fatality ratio of the disease is still uncertain. This is partly because of inconsistencies in testing and death reporting standards across countries. Our purpose is to provide accurate estimates which do not rely on testing and death counts data directly, but only use population-level statistics. The findings of this study, we estimate an overall infection fatality rate of 1.29%, as well as large differences by age with a low infection fatality rate of 0.05 for under 60 years old, and a substantially higher rate, 4.25% for people above 60 years of age. So that number has no similarity at all to the number of just dividing the number of people with the disease and the number of people who've died from it, or at least are reported to have died from it. So the numbers are just all across the board. There's really not any standardization of the way these figures are being represented. But the figures that are being represented are being used, and the models associated with these figures are being used to set policies, such as the stay-home order, which is imminent to be extended here in the state of Washington. And yet to discuss this is enough to get your content banned on YouTube. That's pretty substantial. And YouTube obviously is something that's owned by Google. Google doesn't exactly have a sterling reputation for ethical conduct. The way that it suppresses any mode of thinking. There's a former employee of Google whose name was James Damore, and he got fired from Google under some pretty questionable circumstances. I don't have the information in front of me, so I'm not going to comment on it very deeply, but basically, he suggested in an email that there are biologically predicated differences in life choice and areas of interest between men and women. This was enough to get him fired. And the circumstances surrounding his termination, the way that he was harassed, and yet the people who harassed him, in terms that should get anyone fired on the spot, honestly, he got harassed, he got fired, and the people who harassed him, they're still there. So Google doesn't exactly have a very good reputation for having an open mind to a diversity of thought within its staff. And they are now yanking any content off of YouTube, which they deem to be contrary to the World Health Organization and their suggestions and information about the coronavirus. It's kind of disturbing. Other social media platforms are doing similar things. Twitter, I don't really follow or use Twitter, so I don't have any way of knowing exactly what that looks like. All I can do is read what people are saying about it, but it's no joke the way that information is being suppressed. It's no joke the way that it's been deemed taboo to deviate in any measure from the acceptable way of thinking. It's considered taboo and naive to question the official numbers, the official mitigation requirements. You're not allowed to do it. Just look at the way our lives are right now. Look how much control government has exerted over our lives. And granted, Google and YouTube are not government organizations, but it's a pretty strong statement within society to erase any statement that contradicts the same source from which we're getting all of these policies, all these lockdowns, all these restrictions. Everybody likes to talk about questioning authority. Question this, and you get silenced. Well, I don't really have a whole lot else to say today. It's kind of a slow news day. There's a whole lot more reading to do. I guess the next thing I'm waiting for is to see what Governor Inslee's office has to say. People should not be afraid to voice their skepticism about the way that the government is clamping down on our lives, cloaking themselves always in the very best of intentions. People should not be afraid in any way. People shouldn't be afraid of being silenced. People shouldn't be afraid of being socially ostracized. People shouldn't be afraid for any reason to get out there and say, hey, something here really doesn't make sense. Especially as we see this lockdown and these restrictions pushed further and further and further out into the future. You shouldn't be afraid for any reason. Your friends might laugh at you. People might unfriend you, whatever. Why should you let that silence you if you really feel strongly that this is not legit? I don't know where I personally land on it. This whole thing is just so different from anything I've ever experienced, anything any of us have ever experienced. I don't know exactly how I feel about it. I wouldn't want to advise people to get out there and engage in any behavior that could lead to more people getting sick and more people dying. Of course, I wouldn't want that to happen. So the easier thing to do is just to stay where I'm at and continue doing what is said to be the safe thing to do. But the longer it goes on, and the longer my lived experience over the last 6 or 7 weeks stands in stark contrast with the picture being painted by things like these numbers and these stories and these reports, the more I'm like, what the hell is going on here? What the hell's going on here? That's just where I think I should leave things for today. What the hell is going on? In the meantime, thanks for listening and be good to each other.